Dales join Judy Spires for Pebble Mill. Back in half an hour, and until then, Simon Parkin will probably get back in as well. I'll see you later. Cheers, bye.
This week in Eldorado.
Reading other people's mail, Pilar.
You're hurting.
Did your mother ever teach you how rude that is?
So lovely to have him here.
Snobby-nosed git.
What home? This isn't my home. You chose to live here, not me.
I've been doing some really weird stuff.
Don't follow me, right? I'm sick to death of people following me.
Do you know what I would like the most of all?
No, but I can't wait to hear.
Mr. Tandy, you're a very bad man, you know that?
Eldorado, tonight at 7.
Toby Anstis will be along in 5 minutes with children's BBC, including Playdays and your birthday greetings. Now 10 o'clock, the news from Chris Lowe.
Good morning. At Westminster, there's growing tension over the Commons' vote on the Maastricht Treaty in the wake of the suggestion at the weekend that defeat could bring down the government. This morning, the Foreign Secretary faces a Commons Committee on European law.
Mr Hurd is due to brief the committee on specific items of European legislation, but some members fear that the session might be hijacked by their Eurosceptic colleagues, who'll try to widen the argument.
They are seeking to commit us with threats to what would amount to voluntary political euthanasia of our Westminster democratic system.
Much depends on the attitude of the shadow cabinet, who will decide on Wednesday whether or not to vote against the government in next week's Commons vote. During his weekend in North Africa, the Prime Minister and his officials have pointedly refused to quash rumours that either he will resign or there could be another general election if the Maastricht vote is lost.
There's been the strongest suggestion yet from Labour that they'll vote against the motion next week.
I'm not talking about bringing down the government, but just voting against this motion next week in the House of Commons if the government indeed brings it forward, because we don't seem able to get across the point that until the Danish referendum result is accommodated in some way, then the Maastricht Treaty is dead in any event.
The European Community's agriculture ministers meet later today in Luxembourg in a fresh attempt to rescue the deadlocked GATT talks on world trade. Britain's Minister John Gummer is expected to tell his French counterpart that France will have to accept American demands for big reductions in farm subsidies. There's been another explosion in the centre of London, the 15th in 3 weeks. The bomb slightly damaged a block of flats where the former Northern Ireland Secretary Lord Pryor keeps an apartment. Last night's blast damaged the doorway and shattered windows at the block in Victoria. No one was hurt and damage was slight. British Steel has announced that it is cutting production because of falling demand for its products in Britain and abroad. The company says it expects to reduce its output of liquid steel by 20% over the next 3 months. The move will mean short-time working for some of the 44,000 workforce. British Steel have refused to comment on possible job losses. The independent candidate in the American presidential election, Ross Perot, says news of a Republican dirty tricks campaign forced him to pull out of the race in July. He re-entered 3 weeks ago and has promised his supporters a landslide victory.
In fact, current predictions suggest Mr. Perot will win no states at all. But he is taking votes from the other candidates, and he's now suggesting it was a Republican dirty tricks campaign which forced him out of the race last July.
The Republican Party intended to publish a false photograph of my daughter who was getting married on August the 23rd, smear her before her wedding, and actually disrupt the wedding ceremony.
Perot has given no evidence to support his allegations or his claim that the Bush campaign intended to tap his phone, and the White House strongly denies the charges.
That's it. More from the newsroom in an hour.
And now the headlines in the southeast. As you may have just heard, a block of flats was evacuated in London during the night after a bomb went off. Superficial damage was caused to the building at Morpeth Terrace in Victoria, where the former Northern Ireland Secretary James Pryor and other MPs live. No one was hurt. London is now the most expensive city for commuters anywhere in the European community, according to a survey out today. The Association of London Authorities says commuters are penalised because public transport isn't given as much support as in other cities. 2 police officers were injured in clashes with youths on the troubled Blackbird Leys housing estate in Oxford early this morning. They've been taken to hospital after being ambushed by a crowd pelting their patrol car with concrete and other missiles. 150 staff at Windsor Safari Park are to meet receivers this morning to discuss the future of their jobs. The 144-acre park was shut after concerns about safety to the public and the 600 animals. Campaigners fighting plans to build the world's largest waste incinerator power station in Kent are lobbying Parliament today. Community groups in Kent and South East London oppose the project at Belvedere. That's all from us, but now let's take a look at the weather with John Ketley.
Good morning. It's been a chilly start to the week, a touch of frost in many places at first light this morning, but there's been a good deal of sunshine so far. But already things are beginning to change. We've got a system rolling in off the Atlantic, already bringing cloud and showery outbreaks of rain across western Scotland and into Western Ireland as well. A few showers ahead of that through the Irish Sea, 1 or 2 down through the West Country and running into the Channel Islands. But the sunshine further east hanging on for much of the day, especially down the eastern coast of both Scotland and England. But all the while you'll find that increasing cloud bringing more persistent rain, particularly into Northern Ireland, into western Scotland as well as we go through the afternoon. A few showery bursts of rain moving into these more central parts of the country. Some places will stay dry, but all the while it will be clouding over from the west. And it's cold enough for a little bit of snow on the higher ground, say above about 400 or 500 metres. A pretty cold day once again, temperatures generally only about 8 to 10 degrees, up to 11 degrees though across the south, and the wind's beginning to freshen up in that northwestern quarter of the country. And then tonight this system rolling in across the country, but you will find clearer showery weather back into Northern Ireland later on this evening, and that clearer showery weather getting into many western parts as the night goes along, but again those showers of a wintry flavour up on the higher ground of North Wales and also southwest Scotland later on. Some fairly heavy rain though continuing up in the north and east. And that's it from me for now.
An invitation to the biggest indoor spectacle ever staged comes from BBC One this Friday. The climax to a year of celebrations which have marked the 40th anniversary of the accession of Her Majesty the Queen. A cast of 4,000 from the worlds of entertainment, theatre, sport and industry will pay tribute to 4 decades of Britain's achievements. The famous people and events that have left their mark since 1952 come together in the presence of Her Majesty the Queen to celebrate 40 glorious years this Friday at 7:30 on BBC One.